Well, good morning, ladies. Let's get started in our new year gathering. So let's close our eyes. And with the enthusiasm and the gratitude and the anticipation that we are each holding for this new year, let's gather together in our circle, placing it wherever you would like to be for this new year, in a space that's familiar to you, or maybe in a space that you're exploring, a location you can keep in your mind that is a place to go back to return to when you want to feel the source of our circle. And join hands with the women on both sides of you. And imagine the size of our circle as it's growing and deepening. And feel the energy that's circling around us and through us. And remembering that we're here to support one another, that you can always reach out to us, to one another, for support. That the new year is here and it's bringing so many beautiful new possibilities, but also so many additional challenges that I know we are facing. So let's just be in gratitude today for one another and for the possibility and for the technology that allows us to gather this way. And take a moment to feel the energy as it circles around in and through us. And then give a really sweet squeeze to the hand of the woman on either side of you or on both sides of you, letting her know that you're here and available.
And then gently let go and come back to yourself. Bring your hands into prayer pose. And follow your inhalation and your exhalation. And pay attention to the gap between those two. And you tune in with 3 arms. Inhale deeply. Inhale and suspend your breath. And exhale. We place our right hand onto our left shoulder. Our left arm goes up and the palm is facing forward. You spread all your fingers. You in and exhale only through your open mouth. Reach up as high as you can with your left arm. Really engage your cheeks. Inhale deeply. Suspend your breath for a moment. Pull your perineum, sex organ and navel in and up and squeeze tight. Exhale and then gently switch arms. Left hand goes onto your right shoulder, right arm comes up, right palm is facing forward, all fingers are spread apart, and continue in and exhale through the open mouth. Just make sure that on your exhalation, the navel moves towards your spine. That's crucial. Deep inhalation. Suspend your breath. Pull your perineum, sex organ, and navel in and up. Pull the Kundalini energy from the base of your spine, through your spine, to the back of your head, and then to the top of your head. And hold the energy there. And exhale, open mouth. Now also bring your left arm up, so both arms facing up, 90 degrees, hugging your ears if possible. Fingers are spread apart, palms facing forward, and continue for 1 more minute. Inhale deeply. Suspend your breath, and again pull the perineum, sex organ, navel in and up, and squeeze, 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 squeeze. Now squeeze every part of your body, get as uptight as you can get, so that you concentrate and consolidate the energy within you that you activated. Hold the breath for a little bit longer, and then exhale, sweep through your auric field. Rest your hands around your knees, palms facing down, and close your eyes for a moment. And Jill, that was your replacement for a cup of coffee. Because this activates our body and our brain very quickly. And it really balances the left and the right side of our body as well as of our brain. Good. From here, I want you to keep your hands on your knees. If you sit on a chair, just separate your knees a little bit. And on the exhalation, you bring your forehead to the left hand. You move slowly, inhale up, twist your torso, exhale, and bring your forehead to the right hand. Inhale up and exhale. See that you have an emphasis on lengthening your spine. Opening up your lower back. In and exhale through your nostrils. Pull your navel towards your spine on your exhalation. One more time to each side. And then come back to center. Inhale through the nose, exhale, open mouth. Bring both hands palm facing upward into your lap. And then you take your right hand, and your right hand is moving over your left hand, towards the left side of your body, over your head, and then to the right of your body, and then your hand comes back into your leg. Your left hand moves over to the right, and you bring your left arm up, and left arm moves around the left side and back into your leg. So now follow, alternate the hands, and always follow the movement with your eyes. Inhaling up and exhale down. Inhale nose, exhale open mouth. Reach to the side as much as you can. And up as much as possible. Working for your heart and for your lungs. Stretching our spine upward. Gentle movement. One more time to each side. And then we're going to bring our arms, our hands by our side, the level of your hips, palms facing down. And this will be a rapid movement, as if you're patting the earth, without touching the ground. And you just pat and you get rigorously. So I want you also to have an emphasis on feeling how you're moving your shoulders. All breath now through your nostrils. Patting the air above the ground. This will activate your lymphatic system dramatically. It will cleanse your sinuses. You might need a tissue. Very simple posture, but extremely effective. And just hold your hands and feel the energy below your hands. Just hold it for a moment and feel and be present. Good. Now we take the hands to the center of our heart space and we move forward. As rapidly, as fast as you can. So if you want to push something away from you. This is only just for a minute. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Go faster for the last 15 seconds. And hold the hands here. Feel the energy in your hands and around your hands. Deep breath. Good, and last round, we bring our hands a little higher, just slightly above the head. Now there's a lot of activation in our armpits. Your whole upper torso even all the way into your legs. Everything should shake a little bit. Last 15 seconds. And then hold the energy here. Suspend your breath now. Freeze for a moment. And then exhale, bring your hands onto your knees, palms facing upward. Keep your eyes closed. Take 3 deep breaths here. Good, and Nirmala takes us into our discourse.
Namaskaram. Thank you, Siddhi. I'm still constantly enthralled by how movement just the energy that's going through us is there all the time. But when we do these rapid movements and breath work, then you just are, it's so tactile, like you feel it flooding through your body. It's so yummy, it's so juicy, yummy. Thank you. So happy New Year, ladies. Here we are, January 2021. Took something to get here, didn't it? Was no small task to get ourselves to 2021. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. The first is that I would like to finish out our and recap the Buddhist Eightfold Path that we've been working on, primarily because I would like to have you imagine that you might utilize this for the year, that you might take this structure and this discipline that's incorporated into the Buddhist Eightfold Path and use it as a guidebook, as a guideline, as a, we talked a little bit earlier about having a word for the year, as a portal into how we make decisions about what we're going to be doing with our activities, what we're going to be doing with our emotions, what we're going to be doing with our mental capacity, how we'll be taking responsibility in the fullness of that. So here's our opportunity to really take a look at this year. We're starting fresh. We have a clean slate. The chalkboard is empty and we get to write whatever we want to write on it for this year. What would you like to write on your chalkboard for this year? How do you want this year to unfold? The intentions that we bring to this, we have an opportunity to set new intentions and to really be responsible for how we are in the world. We think about that, and I think all of us, of course, are in most ways, but in the most subtle ways, we have an opportunity to go from our gross behaviors, how we are just in the physicality of our body and how we move our body into the world, and take that into a more subtle aspect. And the Buddhist Eightfold Path just reminds us to stay on a path. It's just a guidepost for a path. So I want to just go through one last time the streams of consciousness from the Buddhist Eightfold Path. There really are 3. And we've spoken about most of the aspects. I'll cover a couple more today, but the 3 of the guideposts and the 3 aspects of consciousness are wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental development. So we've talked about wisdom, which is the right view and the right intention. And if you can take anything away from that, from the right view and the right intention, it would be to not create story. So what we would like to see in our observations and awareness of things that are happening in and around us is what's true. Just what is reality, very simply, without adornments, without judgment, without adding story, just what's true per situation. And when we take simply the facts of what is actually happening, we have an opportunity to respond in a different way than when we cloak it in emotions or judgments or defense. So to take right view and right understanding and right intention, we can start looking at ways that we can impact how it is that our mind drives us. Where is our mind taking us? And our mind is predicated on all of these past situations. Our mind builds a library of responses based on what we've had in the past. And that's really useful in many situations. If we're in a situation where we need to remember and recall how we got somewhere, or what's maybe a dangerous situation or a shortcut for something, those are really useful ways that our mind can be in memory. But the majority of the ways that we use memory are destructive. We use it to be reminded that somebody always behaves that way, or that it's unpleasant if I do it this way, so I won't even try again. I'm not good at that. I failed at doing that. Every time I try this, this happens. We don't give room for new possibility. So in the wisdom teachings, we really want to take the opportunity to just look at things as they are. Just in this moment, what's truth? That's all. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And from there, we get to make new choices and new possibilities and try things that we might not have tried in 2020. Let's try them in 2021. So from the wisdom standpoint, we really want to have our view and our understanding and our intention to be really clean. Just clean. If we have a word for the year, it's just be clean. Don't add anything to what is not completely the truth. Just stay clean. The second area, ethical conduct, we've talked a little bit about: right speech, right action, right livelihood. And the important thing from this one stream of consciousness is that we have a choice in all moments to respond in the ways that we choose to, regardless of what's coming at us. So right speech and right action, there's a middle ground. Buddha always taught the middle way. It wasn't the extremes. It's what is the middle way to being present and the middle way to bringing forth possibility. It doesn't have to be extreme. You don't have to be an ascetic. You don't have to give up everything in your life. And you also don't have to overindulge. What's the middle way? And with speech, it's the same thing. More might not be better. Less might be better. It depends on the situation. So if you're conscious in every situation as to what you're bringing forth as your contribution with your speech and your action, then you're going to be sending into the world a different message. You can be very chatty, and you can also be very silent. You can be very active in trying to take care of situations, and you can also sit back and let someone else be active. Choosing the right action and the right speech is moment to moment. How do we look at each moment in the clarity of what's really happening? And then we say, what is our responsibility here? And we step up to it. And in our mental development, we look at right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So right effort is interesting because we're taught as children, try your hardest, keep working, pushing. And the truth in effort and right effort is that there's an appropriate amount of effort called for in every situation. And you can over effort and you can under effort. The goal is to be in the middle, to give just what's required. I don't mean in a meager way, I'm just going to do what has to get done. I mean in a way of what is your responsibility. So in efforting, if you over effort, I'm sure all of the mothers on this call will know and recognize this. When we over effort for our children, then we teach them they don't have to do it themselves. And we often, as helicopter parents, do that. We over effort on behalf of our children. Over efforting on behalf of them is not a good thing. Our children have to learn how to contribute their appropriate amount of effort in a situation. So when we over effort, we think we're adding more, we're actually taking away. And when we under effort, we're not showing up. So where's the middle ground? Again, where is the middle ground to what is our responsibility? What are we called to contribute? And that takes an enormous amount of awareness in every moment for us to be able to recognize what's called for in that moment. Some moments there's more need for us to effort in a certain way, and some there's less. But you have to be really aware and intuitive and thoughtful to get the right speech, the right amount of silence, the right amount of action. And when we talk about right livelihood, it isn't as though there are some things that are better than others. This is the question of, can you find that all aspects of your life are in alignment between the external world and the internal world? So if your external life in terms of what your livelihood is doesn't match up at all with your internal world, that's just a struggle. It's sometimes we have to do that because of the finances or something is required of us. But if you have a choice, our external world and our internal world should match, because then there's a sense of calm that goes through us. There's a way that we are in the world that comes naturally. There's an ease that happens through us. If you bounce up against something in your external world that is totally contrary to your internal world, it's disruptive. So we have to do that a lot. I mean, there's a whole external world that's not in our control. But the world that we choose to be around us is in our control by and large. So let go of some things that aren't in the best interest of your internal journey. Really take note of what is my internal journey for this year? What am I committing to? And how does that impact my choices that I have in my external world? So that your speech and your action and your livelihood are collaborating with your internal world and your internal journey. They're not going contrary to it. And the third stream of consciousness or of area in the Buddhist Eightfold Path is mental development, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And that's the discipline area. We want to talk about discipline as a really strong piece of our spiritual journey. Without discipline, all of this is for naught. We're doing a lot of talking here, but we really have to do a lot of being. And we have to be present, and we have to be with the right speech, and be with our correct effort, and be with our recognition of what's really happening in a situation. And in order to do that, we have to have trained the mind. So concentration and mindfulness is paramount. Without training our mind, all of this just goes out the window, because the mind will take you on whatever journey it feels like going on in that moment. Minds run amok. That's their journey. They run amok. They go and explore everything, every possibility, turn everything upside down, and come back to you with many conclusions that are errant. The mind has to be harnessed. Again, the mind is a knife, a very sharp knife. It's fabulous to use in situations where we need it present. It's dangerous in situations where we don't. You have to decide when it needs to be present and to what magnitude. That's your responsibility. So the way that we are in charge of that is that we add discipline into our life. We meditate, we're mindful, we take walks and connect with the earth so that we have the earth energy and the earth guidance to assist us. We think consciously about our movement through the world, and we allow ourselves to move in a really peaceful way, to be at peace with the world rather to be in an antagonistic relationship with anyone, with anything, with the planet, with an individual. It's not serving us. This year, we look at what's serving us and how do you make choices out of that? What are my choices that I'm making? We have so much power in choice. I think that often, particularly, well, that's not true. Often we think that we're boxed in and that our choices are not unlimited. And that's only our mind deciding that there's only one solution or a limited number of solutions. And if those aren't available to us, then we're being controlled and we're boxed in. It's just not true. The choices are unlimited as to how we can respond and how we might construct our lives. Unlimited. I mean, that's a pretty big thing. Unlimited choices. There might be a few that you can't do that aren't going to work, but by and large, there are unlimited opportunities that we don't explore around every situation because we're used to things that are rote. So we just go back to the same answer, the same solution. What are some new solutions, new ways of seeing how we might be in the world? And the mental development that the Buddhist Eightfold Path brings us to is that it says, get yourself in control of your mind so it doesn't run crazily. Then you can use the discernment that's present in you that you're cultivating. We're cultivating discernment so that when things come to us, we have the opportunity to quickly think, is this correct for me or is this not? Discernment is one of the most important tools that we use in our spiritual journey. Discernment of our teacher, discernment of what we read, discernment of what we hear. We have to be the final choice, and the final buck stops with us. It isn't someone else's responsibility, it's ours. So this year, let's take on discernment as one of our capacities that we expand, so that we're really able to use our intention and our mindfulness and our disciplines that we're cultivating on our behalf, so that we're in awareness and presence in a way that shifts everything that we see and we do. We respond to what we see. If we're not having clarity in what we're seeing, we're responding to not the truth of the situation. We want to be responding to what's really happening, and we want to respond with all of the capacity that we have. And we want to hone that capacity. We want to sharpen that knife. And then we want to put the knife away until we need it. Bring out the appropriate tools. Buddhism teaches us to have tools. This Eightfold Path, these are just tools. But if we bring out right view and right intention and right speech and right effort when we need them, we're going to have an entirely different experience and journey in our spiritual life. So if you don't have a mental development, a discipline, a spiritual discipline of some sort, a meditation or a practice, chanting, or there are many different ways, yoga, many different things that you can use as tools. If you don't have tools and you would like some tools, then you need to speak to Siddhi and to me, because you should have tools this year going forward. You should have tools that you use every day that are honing in this Eightfold Path, so that it becomes so natural to you that it's just a movement through your day. You're not consciously thinking every time you open your mouth, I've got to have right speech. It just becomes you. How you offer yourself into the world becomes so well tuned in a way that you're in alignment with yourself, your inner journey, and with what's being called for. What is your responsibility in the situation, that you naturally will evolve into that. You won't think about it, but it takes discipline and a practice. We'll use Buddhism as a guidebook to practical spirituality. It allows you to make the decisions in the moment of what is appropriate. It's not telling you what's appropriate, but it's asking of you to be fully present and to be bringing the best part of yourself, the fullness of yourself, to life. So this year, let's bring the fullness of ourselves to every situation in such a powerful way that everything starts to shift around us. People start shifting, we're shifting, the cosmos is shifting, everything. We have to show up 100%. And we're going to do it through these tools. We want our life force to not hinder our experience of spirit. So we're physical beings, and in the world, our physicality is often the way that we see ourselves expressing ourselves. The spirit is subtle. So we want to stay with the subtlety. We want to move into more subtlety this year, ladies. We want to become so refined in our spirit journey that the way we show up is entirely different. It's not the physicality of how we show up, it's the energetics of how we're showing up. So we'll use the Buddhist Eightfold Path as an underpinning, a structure that helps us to refine and become more subtle in how we're engaging, how we're reacting, how we're experiencing the world around us. It's important in our spiritual journey that we start being so subtle that we start to blend with the energy around us. Everything starts to be in unity. Jill, as you brought that word up for your word for this year and your word that you're working through, unity, that's where we want to be. We don't want to be in duality. It's us and them. It's everything is together. We know that. You can't stop and start your energy with the person next to you like you have a wall between you. We put up barriers because we don't know how to deal with being part of the all. So we put up barriers to keep ourselves separate from, so we can then contain and protect. We want to break down those barriers and join the whole, but we want to contribute to it. And if we're all contributing in a way that is helpful and in response to what's called for healing and for wholeness and for vitality, we're going to feel that, and so is the outside world. And then we start shifting things without even making a conscious effort to. It's the way we are in the world. Start being that way in the world. It's not doing, it's being. Start being in the world the way you want the world to show up. And things are going to shift. And this is our year to do it. There's so much on the table right now for shifting. It's, if we look forward to this year of our politics and our health, that we've gotten through this pandemic and that we're headed towards a vaccine, there's just so much that's going to change. And how that's going to change, you want to be a part of that. So let's start working on supporting ourselves so that we can have the right speech and the right effort and the right mindfulness when we show up in the world, so that we're as present as we can possibly be, and that we'll feel the energy surging through us just the way we did when we did our morning practice today, that we will feel when we stop and just feel ourselves, we'll feel the vibration, and that we're present as a vibration in the world, not just as a physicality in the world.
Thank you, Nirmala. Lots to implement and integrate what you shared. While you were speaking, I thought that, excuse me, there are probably 3 words that I thought would be wonderful to wrap this all up, because if we go into our spiritual journey, what we get in touch with is our truth. What we get in touch with is our godliness and our beauty. And so in the Sanskrit we have Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. But we could also just go by truth, godliness, and beauty. Yeah, so it's really your choice which word you're choosing, which language you're choosing, because they all have their own vibration and frequency. So, but for me, it would be wonderful this morning if we, on the exhalation, mentally recite Satyam. Yeah, then we take an inhale again. And on the next exhalation, Shivam. And on the next exhalation, Sundaram. Or you exhale beauty, godliness, truth, godliness, and beauty. So I invite you to just have your right hand on top of your left, the tip of your thumbs are touching. That's Dhyana Mudra for meditation. You can just rest your hands in your lap. And you pick if you want to, use Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, or truth, godliness, beauty. With whatever you resonate more with, because that's your truth. So because it's easier to remember truth, godliness, and beauty, I will say again names. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. And then you just inhale, and with each exhalation, you recite one of these words, bringing yourself in contact with your truth, your godliness, and your beauty. If further your eyes are closed, Gently release the mantra. Coming back to our breath. We bring our palms together into prayer pose. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May our heart be filled with the fragrance of peace. And may we spread this fragrance to everyone we encounter. Namaste. See you next Saturday. Thank you, Namala.
Siddhi, would you type those 3 Sanskrit words in, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Let me just stop the recording.